Good Friday morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray as we wind down October together. Today is the 28th, Monday, officially the last day of the month, but a fast month it has been. As you're waking up, 49 right now. We'll warm up a lot, 77 for a high. We'll get into that forecast here in just a little bit and show you exactly what's going to be happening with this. We do have a threat of severe weather for tomorrow, the worst of it being a little bit south of the Meridian area, south of I-20. We'll look at all of that, but rain is on the way for tomorrow. A 90% chance, so if you've got deer patches planted, and hopefully this will give us some relief on things catching on fire. That's what we're hoping for, keeping our fingers crossed. How are you today? I hope good. Kathy is up from scuba this morning. Melina is up in Meehan. Good to see you there. Tori, good to see you also up. Bonnie, stirring a little bit there. Had a couple cups of coffee. My day is getting better as we speak. We've gone over a lot to find out what's going on in the area, around the state of Mississippi over in the overnight hours and what happened yesterday. We got all of that. You ever had that question of what to pray for? I think we all have at some point. We got Brother Ben here to tell us a little bit more about it, a little inspirational word this morning.
Are you a person of prayer? If you're a Christian, you should be. But often we struggle with what to pray about. Well, in Matthew 6:9, Jesus helps us out with a model prayer that's often called the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who's in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. In that model prayer, Jesus demonstrates lots of things to pray for. Pray for God's name to be revered and praised. Pray for people to follow His leadership on earth. Pray that He would provide everything you need. Pray for the forgiveness of your sins and that you would withstand the temptation to sin further. And always finish by praising Him for His glory. Beloved, you've got a lot to pray for. Get to it. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. Lee Yates joining us this morning from the big city of Vicksburg. What a beautiful town. Always just gorgeous. A lot of history there. Overlooking that mighty Mississippi is beautiful. One thing, and I haven't shared this yet, Lee, I'm glad I brought that up. I had someone send me a picture just a little bit ago about everybody looking for artifacts, especially around Vicksburg. And it showed a man saving another man that had stepped off, and it was, I'm not sure if it was quicksand or something like it. But if you're relic hunting around the Mississippi River as this is low, be extremely careful. We don't want anyone hurt with that. He was saved. That was the good part on that. And I'll try to find that in a little bit, and we'll get that posted just as a reminder to everyone what goes on with that. Flora joining us all the way from Hickory today. Hope you're doing. Denise, good morning. We start out with a fire that broke out in Quitman last night. A total loss. If you live in the Quitman area, you happen to know these fine folks, see if you can do a little help. We all need help from time to time, and this is one of those instances where someone's lost everything that they've got. So we want the community to help out as much as they can as we go here to Clark County Hot Topics to take a look at this. This was on the 500 block of Thompson Avenue in Quitman. Now, no injuries, but someone still lost their home and every bit of their belongings. We have to be very thoughtful. We never know when it would be one of us in that same situation, do we? Last night, I was out and about. I did not make it to the candy crawl. I was on the, I guess you would call it the east side of town last night. I did make it by the Meridian Police Department. Also, we had the candy crawl that was going on at MCC. I didn't make it by there. I had another meeting that I had on that side of town. But as we pull this up, more the kids really had fun last night. And let's pull some of this up. They did a great job here, the police department did, as you go through the pictures here of all the kids that showed up. Now, what a cute dog, I'm telling you there. We had folks from all over, every type of costume that you can imagine. Just kids had a great time. So a big thank you to the Meridian Police Department for hosting that and letting the kids have a great time last night, as well as MCC. That is always a huge event, the Candy Cruise. Now, as we mentioned, and we go through this every day, I had reports first in my inbox of gunshots in Meridian last night. As we dug deeper into this, certainly did happen as we pulled this up to show gunshots, 20th Avenue. And as I worded this, let's zoom this up a little bit bigger here. As we keep seeing this gunshot, it was 5 to 6, 7 shots fired. Do we know who did it? No. At this point, we don't believe anybody was injured, no damage. It still happened as we watch crime escalate northward. There's just virtually nowhere in the area anymore that crime is not taking place. As we look at this, here's just an overall map. This is the general area that the gunshots were done in last night. This just keeps coming and coming on northward there past Meridian High School and all the areas of Northwood Country Club. We see it every day. It's moving and moving and moving. The town needs to be saved from this. It's senseless for this to continue. We do hope all of this one day will get a grip on it. Of course, we all know that we need more police officers on the street. We do hope to get those. That has not happened yet. We did have a fender bender yesterday on 22nd Avenue and also there at Frontage Road. As we pull this up, this is one of those instances where somebody flees the scene. Coming up right as you turn here at the red light to go down 22nd Avenue, right there is where the accident happened. A Ford truck backed up after he was involved in it and left the scene. You can bet your boots that he was guilty of something else. And I say he, I'm assuming that. I don't know that 100% sure, but the person, let me reword my language there, backed up and drove off. You can only assume drinking or driving or, well, they had something in the car that they didn't want the police to know about. That's generally how that happens. If you came along, that's what was going on. They fled south toward the equipment area up past the big church. We have, and we may have brought this up yesterday, but I wanted to bring it back up as we have identified. It's such a sad situation with this as we pull up the story of the Collinsville man that lost his life in a motorcycle accident on Highway 19, just north of house around Highway 492. The victim has been identified as John Bethany of Collinsville. He was riding his motorcycle, and basically how that happened, he was coming, and they had that lane blocked for the other wreck, and someone pulled out from a side road. He would strike the side of the vehicle. He would have serious injuries, and he would be rushed to a local hospital, and he would later succumb to his injuries. We pass along sincere prayers and thoughts to his family. It's just a horrible situation when something like that happens. I knew John years ago. I knew him. He worked at Walmart, the overnight shift, for quite some years there. Really nice guy. As we start looking around at stories that shape the state, and as we all know, the new law has been passed to where it's going to help with medical marijuana, the medical side of this, and it has to be grown in a certain way. We're getting reports now from Mississippi Today. One of the largest in the state that is doing this has had to destroy over $1 million worth of marijuana. I say it that way on purpose. They didn't have the correct way of growing it with the proper tents, and they have strict guidelines that you have to go to. So all that was grown was destroyed, and they will start over and with a new batch, so to speak, there. A lot of guidelines you have to follow with this. Sad news is we go to Jackson, Mississippi. Have y'all seen this yet? I posted it last night. A decorated Jackson police officer has died in a off-duty wreck. He also was riding his motorcycle on Highway 80 and was involved in a wreck, and he lost his life. Condolences to them as they lose a fellow officer. It's just horrible that we lose his life. We do hate that. A lot of prayers for his family as well. Well liked from my understanding there. Well, what happens when you go to jail and, well, you just don't want to stay there? Well, some never give up, do they? Monroe County is where we go next. After he was cuffed and stuffed, he decided he saw a light of day and ran with the handcuffs on right out the courthouse. He made it around back before he got stopped. They took him back inside. Now, he was there on a misdemeanor. They bring him back inside and put him in a holding area. He decided, well, it still didn't want to stay there, so he went in the ceiling. There was no way to escape after you got there. There was no roof access, so he was floating around for no reason up there. Deputies went and pulled him back out. He'll now get extra years added on that little misdemeanor he had going on there and felony fleeing. It's going to get worse for him now. But he really didn't want to stay. A Columbus man has been accused of allegedly sexually assaulting a juvenile. He's being also charged with rape. More on this. His bond is set at $1 million. Hope we'll find out more about this before this is all said and done. Just can't have those type things. And I don't know everything about this, and I need to look up this fellow's history. The parole board had passed to where they were going to let someone out. They were going to let someone out early. Enough complaints from the community, and that has been backtracked. A gentleman named Frederick Bell is now denied parole, and he will remain in Parchment. Now, he's a convicted killer. What I don't remember, because he's been there a while, I'm not sure exactly what he did. I'm going to dig into that and learn a little bit more about that. I got that story late after I got in last night, and I didn't get to do the research on it that I wanted to. Now, why they decided to begin with that they were going to give him parole, I do not know. A killer would have been turned loose, but the community, so to speak, raised enough cane to where that was backtracked. Good for the community. Yet, I've just always found it hard to believe that something like that is changed and they can blend in with society. I may be wrong. Killer. Well, I'll learn more about it, and we'll talk about that tomorrow morning. A little bit heavier there. Over the course of this, back when the pandemic hit, businesses were struggling as businesses were shut down by the government. 14 Mississippians now have been arrested in total for fraud with the payroll program during that. What a shame. You shouldn't have done that. But 14 is the number. Now, you think about how many got away with it they don't know about yet. How many nationwide. How many tax dollars were flat out stolen from the American public. And I know y'all have read all of this, up to where they've bought fancy cars, $300,000 cars. Just robbery is all that was. There's controversy in Starkville, and I really had no idea that any of this went on there to begin with. An event that was scheduled at the Cotton District Arts Festival has been canceled after backlash from the community, and members of the city leaders have also spoke up. Starkville Pride, well, I'm assuming that that's part of the LBGT crowd. Assuming. I don't know that. I've never heard of this before. But they were going to have, and you get into this, a drag show. As we see on television and all these, I would assume that's a drag queen show. Am I right? Starkville, Mississippi. Is Starkville ready for something like this? Maybe not. It's been canceled. We'll find out more about this as this kind of comes about. I didn't know that they even had this type of event in Starkville. But that show has been canceled at this point. No word if it's coming back or not in a different way. Starkville, Mississippi. Huh. Jones County. Let's move to our next story this morning. 4 of the most wanted have been arrested in Jones County. That's good. Now, I'm not sure throughout the state if each city has their most wanted or not. I need to ask about that in Meridian. Maybe that's a new campaign we need to start. Meridian's most wanted. What do y'all think? A little picture of the whole 9 yards there. No one has hit it, and it's growing. Our next chance will be tomorrow night as the Powerball. $800 million. It's the second largest, if I'm reading right, that there ever has been. $800 million. Have you bought one? Do you plan on doing it? There's a lot of folks that have. I'm not real big on those things, but boy, extra $5 just for a chance. It may be worth it. As they always say, you can't win unless you try. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe it's time to grab me a ticket and see if I need it. And see if I win it, rather. Levi says that the gentleman we talked about that was up for parole killed someone else in the Grenada area. As Tiffany says, condolences to the family of the Jackson police officer. And we do. We said heartfelt prayers to them. That's a very tough one there. Herbert Springs watching in. Betty, how are you today? Glad to see you up and joining us there. Joanne joins us as well. A lot of folks up. Glad to see y'all. Let's see what else we got stirring here in the news this morning that is happening. We don't know a lot about this, but a car has been found. A lady that's been missing a week in the state of Mississippi, her car has been found on the side of the road. I-55 in Hinds County. No word yet. We certainly hope that she's okay, but we don't know any more than that right now. But her car found on the side of the road. Doesn't sound good, does it? 9 days ago is when she went missing. So that's a little bit over a week. She's missing from Pike County. Authorities continue the search. Not sure if she ran out of gas or if someone took her car and made it that far. Do you see this? Where game wardens were in the Hattiesburg area around Camp Shelby that were looking for somebody that may have been breaking a game law. Maybe hunting illegally. We're not sure. They didn't give us all that information. But we do know that skeletal bones have been found. Full investigation is underway. We don't know much more than that, but it was near Camp Shelby. As MBI and the whole 9 yards will go into this investigation as they rope it off and try to find out who the remains belong to. We find that as we go south of here, Picayune, Mississippi, we all know where that is. If you're headed toward the coast, if you're going toward Slidell, right out of Hattiesburg, due south from there, Picayune, an accident happened there. A man was ejected from the car wreck. He died at the scene. Condolences to his family there as that happened there. It can happen, single car accident. And as we saw, what was it, Haley Barber earlier in the week. Tried to jerk the wheel to miss a dog. That happens with deer as well. And always grip the steering wheel and stay straight. Because the worst can happen from that if you can. It's one thing to sit here and say it, and we all have different reactions when you're faced with something that runs out. It's a constant, you jerk. There's just no other way to word it. But be careful. Always try to keep that in mind. We go to Gulfport? Let's go a little bit further south than Picayune. Let's go all the way to Gulfport. Argument with a postal worker, usually not good, especially after you pull a gun on the postal worker and threaten them. Then there's the alleged part after the postal worker drove off of shooting at the mail truck. He's been arrested. You get into all kinds of charges when you deal with federal, and that's what that is, the U.S. mail. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Rusty Holloway of Gulfport has been arrested. We'll see what becomes of that. Charged with forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, or interfering with a postal employee. That's a whole bunch of charges, isn't it? I don't know what the crime is on that, but it ain't good. Here's something as they what was that old term of do one for the Gipper, here's one for the Gipper. This is a big win for Christians across the land of America. And we do hope we have more stories like this. Do y'all remember the Washington State football coach that on his own, after the football game, went to the 50-yard line and prayed? Y'all remember that? He was fired for doing it by himself. Now, others may have joined him in his moment of silence and prayer, but they fired him for that. It made it to the Supreme Court. They ruled in his favor back in June. We find out more that they're going to have to give him back his job. That's pretty strong there, and that is good there. It goes on to say that a government entity sought to punish an individual for engaging in a brief, quiet, personal religious observance protected by free exercise and free speech clause in the First Amendment. And the only meaningful justification the government offered for its reprise resisted on mistaken view that it had a duty to suppress religious observance, comparable to getting rid of free speech. We're glad that he got his job back. That is a step in the right direction. We've seen a couple of these across America to where a few judges are making sense these days. We need more of it. Our land is being overtaken by those that I don't know what their thoughts are anymore. Did you see this last night? Twitter has been overtaken and the left is, in an uproar. As Elon has taken it, he has fired the CFO and the guy that went in and banned Trump for life. He is gone. Now, on his exit, he still gets $42 million severance pay. That's not right. That's a lot of money. But they're cleaning house, more to come. That was in his first few hours of taking over Twitter. And maybe free speech will be put back. Wouldn't it be nice that the rest of the social media platforms back off and let Americans think for themselves again and quit all this nonsense of you hurt somebody's feelings? Oh, now don't get me wrong. There are things that don't need to be posted. Y'all know that as well as I do. Things that cross a line. Have some moral responsibility and use that. Back in the day, if you said typed the word COVID, you lost your account. You just couldn't do it. That was not right. Oh, and did I mention this week? I think we're going to talk about this morning at 8, where they have almost proven without a shadow of a doubt where COVID came from. It was a guy named Donald that said it first. Turns out he was right. Something to think on there. Hawaii is getting us concerned this morning as it looks as though the world's largest volcano may erupt. They're kind of put on standby to make sure everything's going to be okay. I certainly hope it does in Hawaii. What a beautiful place. We're going to check your forecast next. Don't rush off. We'd love to have you around for that as we begin this Friday morning. It's looking good.
The Precast Group, offering you the best selection when it comes to a storm shelter. Located on 145 South in Meridian, where they offer above-ground shelters that can be installed in your home as you're built in, are conveniently located right outside your home if it's already built. They also offer storm shelters that can be installed in a slight bank or on flat ground. Protect your family today with a very affordable storm shelter from the Precast Group. Highway 145 South, 601-482-0003. The Precast Group.
And welcome back. We'll tell you about a few events that are happening this weekend in just a moment. Let's get into your forecast.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
We'll pull up your radar here in just a second and show you what's expected tomorrow. As we begin our forecast today, record highs and record lows. It was back in 16. We had a warm day, 89 degrees. Anybody remember that? That was what, 4? Oh, boy, time is getting away from us. That's 6 years ago. The record low was set back in 57 at a low of 27 degrees. That Chevrolet would be rolling off that assembly line, making history today, wouldn't it? Sunny is what we're looking for. 77 to 79 is where we'll fall with the temperature, somewhere in between there. Up near Columbus, 76 to our south, 78 there in Hattiesburg as we look at that. Let's go east into Bama, 74 in Birmingham. We're expecting at least 77 in Tuscaloosa, as well as our friends there at the great city in Livingston. Nice weather. Can't beat that. Now, this is what the National Weather Service is putting out for us. If you'll see here, it's showing that the worst of the weather is going to lie south of us, the Meridian area falling under a level 1. We could have damaging wind gusts of 60 miles an hour, small hail, and you cannot rule out a possible tornado. Now, let's go while we got this being talked about and pull up radar now to take a look at what officially. Let me get back over here so we can see this. Let's pull this up where we can all see this together from Meridian Honda Radar. And let's pull up the severe weather for day 2. And here's what we have. That's what we got. That's showing that the worst of it is going to be Laurel, Ellisville area, Taylorsville, if you're watching from those areas there. South, toward the end, Gulfport, Biloxi, all included in that Wiggins. And, well, our friends over in Hammond, all this over to Baton Rouge will be under this level 2. As you'll see here, the Meridian area will have a level 1, and this will go northward and just cut right across Kemper County. Let's turn on a few of these, and we'll look at this how it comes across. Right here, this is 2 Mile Bottom. This stretch right here, it will end there at the Chicken Shack, cut across at the Cowboy Church, right through DeKalb, right at Cypress Mills, and right on in up to Winston County, cutting right across there at the lake. Lake Teocata will be the line going out of the county there, cutting short, making it to the city limits of Louisville and then on through the state. So that's what we've got with weather. We'll watch this, a 90% chance of rain tomorrow. Woo! We may get cooled off before it's over. We'll see. This is what we've got with temperatures over the next few days, 6 to 10 day outlook. A little bit warmer in Meridian area now across Louisiana, back to eastern Texas. Cooler weather coming from California. As we look at today, Friday looks to be 76 according to my radar system. 0% chance of rain today, down to 60 tonight. We'll start tomorrow out with a high of only 69. But look at that rain chance, 90%, as we just looked at what we've got with the level 1 rain chance in the area. As we go into Sunday, that rain chance has decreased to a 20% chance. We do get to 72, down to 55 Sunday night, back to work on Monday with a high of only 70. So a little bit cooler weather. Look at that. 74 next Thursday being the high all week. Not bad. Let's go on into November the 12th, and we'll see that Friday the 4th still being the highest that we've got. 79, that was in the 80s a couple of days ago, down to 79. We've got a 50% chance of rain on the 5th, but mostly sunny with highs anywhere from 67 up to about 72. Great weather. You can't complain about that at all as we get ready to move into November. National Hurricane Center. Let's see what they have to tell us this morning. There's a couple of little objects out there. Nothing that is going to affect or threaten the Gulf Coast. As we pull in here, the Gulf of Mexico looks good. 30% chance of this becoming something. A 60% chance for South America. Something could go on there. Has that curve of heading west there. We'll watch that closely. All right, let's check out what our fishing calendar brings us from Chet's Paint and Body. Looks like our next major time to fish will be this afternoon from about 4 until 6 p.m. Right there at dark 30 if you want to get out and do some fishing. We got an east wind that's 5 to 10 today. Not bad at all. Could be a lot worse, couldn't it? It could be. We'll get into some gusty winds tomorrow of about 25 miles an hour. We don't have that today, but tomorrow it's great kite weather, so to speak. Joyce, how you feeling? Miss Joyce Gressett is up. Glad to see you there. Gail is up and going. Glad to see you again. That's a quick look at the headlines that we've got shaping America this morning as we begin it. Twitter, I'm telling you, if you've glanced at it today, is all abright with all the memes coming in from Elon taking over. Hopefully, this will be a trend that will continue to straighten out free speech in America. We certainly hope so. We'll be back with Candace in an hour and 2 minutes from now. Come join us. A great time lined up for you, and we'll learn something together. If you've got something that happened in your community we don't know about, inbox us or email us. Easy to do. Join us as well on YouTube, Facebook. It'll all happen here. We'll be live on Fox 30 begin at 8 a.m. We'll see you soon in roughly about 1 hour from now. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: